sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.
All right, let's dig into some folklore today. We're going to do a deep dive on Groundhog Day.
Oh, Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
I think you'll be surprised by, how deep this tradition goes.
Deeper than a groundhog burrow in February.
Or possibly, yes.
All right, now you've got my attention. So for anyone who somehow hasn't encountered this this quirky bit of Americana, I guess we call it, the basic idea is that if a groundhog,
a very special groundhog,
a very special groundhog, right?
Here.
Punxsutawney Phil sees his shadow on February 2nd, we're all in for 6 more weeks of winter, no shadow, spring's right around the corner.
Yeah, it sounds simple enough.
Simple, right?
But, the history and the cultural significance runs much deeper, I think. It's not just some random event. This is something that's been going on for 139 years.
Wow.
The first official Groundhog Day was celebrated way back in 1887.
That's a lot of predictions. I gotta admit, I was a little bummed to hear that Phil did see his shadow this year.
Yeah.
More winter. Oh.
Yeah, for those of us hoping for an early spring, that was definitely a bit of a disappointment. But it all happened, as always, on Gobbler's Knob in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, where the whole town turns it into this giant party.
Oh, wow.
I'm talking crowds, costumes, festivities. Even if it's freezing out, you can't deny the energy.
Okay, so I'm picturing like frosty air, people bundled up, maybe a cup of hot cocoa in hand, all waiting for Phil to make his grand proclamation.
Yeah, precisely. And here's where it gets, well, maybe a little more intriguing. The actual prediction happens before the public ceremony.
Yeah.
It's almost like a secret ritual.
Okay.
The Punxsutawney Groundhog Club Inner Circle, the guys in the top hats, they're the ones who actually communicate with Phil. They receive the prediction. It's quite the group.
The Inner Circle. It sounds like something straight out of a mystery novel.
Yeah.
It's amazing all the tradition, the ceremony surrounding this.
Well, absolutely. We take their roles very seriously. I mean, they're the protectors of the legend,
Yeah.
Keepers of tradition. For anyone that wants to learn more about these Guardians of Groundhog Day, they actually have their own website.
Wow.
But let's get back to Phil. Over all these years, he's predicted 6 more weeks of winter 107 times.
107 times.
Yeah.
Seriously. That's way more than I would have guessed. So much for an early spring.
An early spring has only been predicted 21 times.
All right.
And there's records missing for 10 years. It might surprise people. There are people who think it's, like a 50-50 split.
Right.
Makes you wonder about his methods, doesn't it?
It really does. But you know what? What really caught my eye when I was looking into this is that his accuracy, especially over the past decade, is, well, surprisingly bad.
Yeah. Let's dive into that.
Yeah.
His performance from 2013 to 2022 is it's worse than a coin toss. He was only right 4 times out of 10.
That's abysmal for a celebrity groundhog. Now I'm starting to wonder if we should be taking investment advice from a magic 8-ball instead.
Well, maybe not financial advice, but it does, it makes you question the validity of Phil's pronouncements.
Definitely does. What's interesting, though, is that despite this less than stellar track record, millions of people still follow this tradition every year. Why?
Yeah, that's the real question, isn't it? Why do we, cling to these traditions, especially ones that might not hold up to scientific scrutiny?
Right.
Why does this still, capture our imaginations after all these years?
Exactly. I think it's about, I think it's got to be about more than just wanting to know when winter will end. I mean, who doesn't want spring to come sooner rather than later? But if it were just about that, we have much more reliable methods these days.
We do.
So what's the real appeal? What do you think as someone who's, really looked into this?
Well, I think that's what we're about to uncover.
Let's dig in. So we've established that Punxsutawney Phil's accuracy record is, well, a little questionable.
Yeah, a little bit.
And yet here we are still fascinated by this furry prognosticator. Why?
I think the answer lies in the cultural significance. It's about so much more than just, predicting the weather.
All right, I'm all ears. What else is there to this tradition?
Well, think about it. We're talking about a centuries-old tradition celebrated with, genuine enthusiasm across the country. I mean, thousands of people gather every February 2nd, the dead of winter, to participate in this quirky ritual. It clearly taps into something deeper, I think, within us, something that resonates beyond just wanting an early spring.
You're right. It can't just be about that. I've never personally, made the trek to Gobbler's Knob, but even seeing it on the news, you can feel the excitement, the sense of community. It's like the whole town, the whole country is in on this shared experience.
Exactly. It's about that shared experience, that sense of community tradition. It's a way for people to come together to celebrate their heritage and to mark the passage of time.
It's funny. We're talking about a groundhog, predicting the weather, but it feels like it's actually about human nature and our need to connect with each other.
Right.
We crave these rituals, these shared experiences that bind us together.
And let's not forget the element of hope that's kind of woven into all of this. Even if Phil predicts 6 more weeks of winter, there's still that promise that spring will eventually arrive. It's a reminder that even in the darkest, coldest depths of winter, brighter days are ahead.
That's a really beautiful way to look at it. It's like a reminder that change is inevitable, and even when things feel, bleak, there's always something to look forward to.
Yeah. Exactly. It offers that glimmer of hope, that sense of anticipation for something better on the horizon. And in a way, it doesn't really matter if Phil's prediction is accurate, right? It's the feeling it evokes, the symbolism. That's what resonates with people.
That makes me think about all the other traditions and rituals that we create, especially around the changing seasons, from ancient harvest festivals to modern day holidays. It seems like we've always sought ways to connect with nature cycles and find meaning in them.
Well, it's a fundamental part of the human experience.
Right.
We're inherently connected to the rhythms of nature. And these rituals, these traditions, help us make sense of the world around us and our place within it.
I find it fascinating that something as simple as a groundhog seeing or not seeing its shadow can tap into such deep-seated, human needs and desires. It speaks to the power of tradition and storytelling.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that sometimes the most enduring traditions are the ones that embrace a little bit of whimsy and lightheartedness.
I like that. Embracing whimsy. After all, where's the harm in a little groundhog-based hope, even if it's just for fun? This whole conversation has me thinking, though, is Punxsutawney Phil the only groundhog in the prediction game?
Well, that's where it gets even more interesting, I think. The tradition isn't limited to Punxsutawney. Lots of towns and cities across the U.S. have their own Phils, each with their own local following and their own unique take on the celebration. It's amazing how it's been embraced and adapted at such a local level.
That's awesome. So even if you can't you can't make it to Punxsutawney, you might have a local groundhog making predictions right in your backyard.
Exactly. It's a great way to connect with your community and experience this age-old tradition firsthand.
Okay, so let's bring this back to our listener. Knowing all this, the history, the questionable accuracy, the cultural significance, does it change how you view the tradition?
That's the ultimate question, isn't it? I mean, it's like discovering the truth about Santa Claus. Even when we learn the reality behind the myth, there's a part of us that still wants to believe, to hold on to that sense of wonder and magic.
I get that. We're not saying you have to throw out your Punxsutawney Phil plushie, or boycott the festivities. It's more about appreciating the tradition for what it is, a celebration of community and hope, and that human desire to connect with nature's cycles.
Beautifully put.
Well, I think we've unearthed some pretty fascinating insights about Groundhog Day today. Who knew there was so much to uncover beneath the surface of this seemingly simple tradition? Yeah,
it really is amazing how much there is to talk about with this tradition. It is. It speaks to the power of these folklore and ritual in our lives. Maybe we don't always need a groundhog to tell us about the weather,
right?
But we do seem to need these shared experiences, these moments of collective hope and anticipation.
Yeah, and you know what? Whether or not Phil's prediction is right this year, I'm choosing to just embrace that glimmer of hope for an early spring.
That's the spirit.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe there's some wisdom in that, in choosing to focus on the positive, on the promise of brighter days ahead.
I love that. So before we wrap up our deep dive on Punxsutawney Phil, I have one last thought for our listeners. If you're feeling inspired by this quirky tradition, why not see if there are any local Groundhog Day events in your area?
Yeah.
You might be surprised to find your own Phil making a prediction right in your backyard.
Yeah, it's a wonderful way to connect with your community and experience this, age-old tradition firsthand. Even if it's just, watching a live stream of a local groundhog, you're tapping into a tradition that has connected people for generations.
Absolutely. And hey, even if you're not sold on the whole groundhog meteorologist thing,
Right.
it's a great excuse to get together with friends and neighbors, enjoy some hot cocoa, and maybe even spot a real life groundhog. Who knows? You might even get lucky and see one that doesn't see its shadow.
Well, on that note of optimism and a hopeful nod towards spring, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive.
Thanks for joining us as we explored the curious world of Groundhog Day, a tradition that's much more than just a furry critter in a shadow. It's about community, hope, and the enduring human connection to nature's rhythms.
Until next time, stay curious.
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have a ball. I'm sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till